Okay, let's dive into this explainer. Have you ever caught yourself, I don't know, color coding your inbox for an hour instead of just replying to that one email? Or maybe staring at a totally blank page, an empty project file, or even a messy room, knowing exactly what you need to do, but feeling like there's an actual physical wall stopping you from just starting? Well, today we are exploring the fascinating psychology behind why incredibly talented, capable people sometimes literally cannot start a project. We're going to unpack the hidden mechanics of perfectionism, and I promise you, by the end of this, you'll look at your own working style in a completely different light.
If I start, I can't stop, so I don't start. Man, does that resonate with you? For so many of us, this is the secret internal monologue just playing on a loop, right? You tell yourself, I know I should just do the thing, but I just can't get going. We usually frame this as a personal flaw, like a weakness, but the material we're analyzing today suggests something totally different. This isn't a defect at all. It's actually a profound, highly sensitive psychological mechanism at work.
Which brings us to the ultimate question. Is this really just laziness, or is it something much deeper? Because let's be real, society loves to label what it doesn't really understand. If you can't start, well, you must be unmotivated, you must be a procrastinator. But I want to challenge that guilt you might be carrying around right now. We're about to take a little journey of self-discovery to understand what is actually happening in a perfectionist's brain when they flat out refuse to take that first step. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the stark contrast between society's view and psychological reality. We're so quick to label someone as just unmotivated or a procrastinator, but internally, the reality is an extreme rejection of compromise. The person isn't avoiding the work because they're lazy. They're avoiding it because their internal standard is set so incredibly high that engaging with the task in a less than perfect state feels physically impossible. It's not a lack of care, it's actually an overwhelming abundance of it. Section 1. The psychological reality, the 0 or 100 rule. So this rule is really the foundational layer of this specific type of perfectionism. For the folks we're talking about today, there is absolutely no middle ground. You're either entirely off, sitting at 0, or you're entirely on at 100. The dial literally doesn't click to 50. And to really grasp this binary way of operating, we've got to look at how this mindset views revisions. In a normal workflow, a revision is just an iterative improvement, right? You write a rough draft, you fix it up. Easy. But to a perfectionist, a rough draft isn't a stepping stone, it's a crime scene. Having to fix something creates intense mental dissonance because the very act of a revision is seen as unacceptable proof that the work wasn't perfectly complete from the jump. Making a correction means acknowledging the initial output was flawed. And for a mind that demands absolute completion, that is an incredibly bitter pill to swallow. Which explains why this specific number is such a massive trigger. 60%. Modern society, productivity gurus, managers, they constantly demand this 60% effort, or they tell us to just get it done and fix it later. But here's the secret. That seemingly harmless advice actually completely paralyzes the extreme perfectionist. To a mind that operates strictly on that 0 or 100 rule we just talked about, a vague middle zone, like 60%, causes immense stress. Just try a little bit is not a comforting thought. It's a terrifying prospect, because their brain literally does not know how to do a little bit. So what actually happens instead? Well, a rapid, completely subconscious mental sequence kicks off before you even open a document. Step 1. Your brain calculates the massive amount of energy required for a 100% total immersion effort. Step 2, it quickly scans your current physical and mental state and realizes, uh-oh, we don't have those resources right now. Step 3, it locks down and completely refuses to start. You see, this isn't procrastination. This is a highly advanced, albeit highly restrictive form of resource calculation and self-management. Your brain is essentially protecting you from starting a marathon it knows you don't have the water to finish. Section 2. The pain of normal. Living with this highly advanced protective mechanism isn't exactly easy, mainly because the rest of the world operates on a totally different rhythm. Why are you so obsessed? Just do it halfway. You need to be more balanced. Don't take it so seriously. Sound familiar? If you have this trait, you have likely heard these phrases your entire life, from childhood classrooms straight through to modern boardrooms. And repeatedly hearing these things builds this profound sense of isolation. It makes you feel like your very nature, your intense dedication, is a defect that needs to be cured. It builds up a whole history of feeling like you're just fundamentally doing life wrong. So the crucial point is that suppressing your true nature takes massive energy. When you're constantly trying to act normal,
constantly trying to force yourself to work at a 60% capacity that just feels totally wrong to your soul, you aren't erasing your on versus off mode. You're just fighting it. And that internal war, it drains your energy completely, leaving you with even less fuel to actually do the work you care about. It's just an exhausting cycle of hiding who you really are.
Section 3, the flip, your hidden superpower.
Now, everything we've just discussed, the refusal to compromise, the absolute inability to do things halfway, the intense focus, these are not weaknesses. When understood and placed in the right environment, these exact traits transform into a massive hidden strength. Consider this line from our source material. This is not laziness, but the cry of a soul that refuses to compromise. Let that sink in. That is exactly what your paralysis is. It's an absolute, unwavering commitment to quality. It's a biological refusal to produce mediocrity. When you finally relieve yourself of the guilt of being lazy, you can actually start to see this uncompromising soul for the incredible asset it truly is. And this brilliantly illustrates what happens when you do engage. The vast majority of the world lives in a reality of projects abandoned, halfway. Work done to an acceptable standard, but absolutely no further. But when you finally activate, you possess what we call piercing power, the ability for complete, uncompromising follow-through. Look, a person who simply cannot tolerate a drop in quality is exceedingly rare. Your output, when you are fully in your 100% mode, completely eclipses the standard good enough work of the masses. Section 4. Building your ideal team. The goal of understanding this psychology isn't to learn how to force yourself to be normal. The goal is to stop trying to change your nature and start engineering your environment to actually support it. Let's move to this and see how this builds your ideal dynamic. As the perfectionist, you bring the hyper-focus, the breakthrough quality, and that refusal to compromise. But to survive and thrive, you need an ideal partner. Someone who handles the details, plans the schedules, and acts as the flexible adjuster. When you pair extreme, piercing focus with a flexible planner who can manage that messy middle ground, you create a synergy that is absolutely unstoppable. Basically, you protect their quality, and they protect your energy. Which brings us to the core takeaway for today's explainer. Stop trying to be a generalist. Accept your extremes. Acknowledge your 0 or 100 nature without a single ounce of shame. You are a specialist in breakthrough quality. So stop draining your energy trying to be the person who does a little bit of everything every single day. Accept your rhythm, let your team or your systems handle the messy middle ground, and save your energy for the exact moments when you need to deliver those breakthroughs.
I want to leave you with this final, somewhat provocative thought to ponder as we wrap up today. What if the very thing you've been hiding, your intense, uncompromising, all-or-nothing nature, is the exact power your team, your project, or your art has been missing all along? It's time to stop apologizing for how you operate and start leveraging it. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. See you next time.